When the Skatani first came across humanity, the galaxy's great empires were thrilled. The Skatani weren't conquerors, they were explorers and record keepers, more interested in collecting data than interfering. They exchanged information with the humans, broadcast the coordinates of one of their colonies, and left. That simple broadcast changed everything. The news of a new, unclaimed civilization spread quickly, and fleets from across the galaxy began moving in to claim it. The first to arrive was the Kataskan Imperium, an ancient, ruthless slaver empire. They reached the outskirts of a human system called Eden 4, also known to its people as New Hawaii. Their fleet was massive, thousands of warships of every size and design, built over centuries of conquest and plunder. They'd heard whispers about human strength and intelligence, but nothing prepared them for what followed. The Kataskan admiral opened with a long, pompous speech, broadcast across the galaxy, boasting of his power and threatening annihilation. When he finished, humanity gave a single, unexpected reply without a word. They shifted their entire civilization into another dimension. In seconds, 6 dozen star systems vanished from normal space. Every planet, every ship, every station, even the asteroids became ghostly outlines, still visible but untouchable. The Kataskan fleet, left behind, tried to attack, but their weapons passed harmlessly through the targets. It was like trying to destroy a hologram. The humans ignored them completely. Communications were blocked, and the admiral's angry demands went unanswered. With that one act, humanity not only secured its safety but delivered the ultimate insult to their enemies, making them irrelevant. The rest of the galaxy took it as a challenge and launched their own assaults, but every attempt ended the same way. Useless weapons, wasted effort, and no response from the humans. Every weapon aimed at humanity failed, not because the shots missed, but because their targets didn't exist in the same reality anymore. One desperate empire even tried to copy the humans' phase-shifting technology. It went horribly wrong. They phased into the wrong universe entirely, and humanity took control of their systems, erasing the ships from existence and leaving their crews stranded dead in open space. After that, more attempts were made, all met with the same result: complete indifference from humanity. Super weapons, doomsday devices, entire fleets, all useless. The galaxy's mightiest powers, once feared for their dominance, were humiliated by a species 10 times smaller than their weakest vassals. Humanity had the smallest ships, the weakest weapons, and the fewest systems, yet they toppled entire empires with one simple tactic: ignoring them. In just 2 minutes, centuries of warfare strategy became obsolete. Armies had nowhere to land. Ships had nothing to shoot at. Some empires set up taunting outposts within human territory. The humans didn't even bother to remove them. They simply acted as though they weren't there. 10 years have passed since the last serious attempt to challenge them. In that time, humanity has claimed 60 more systems, phasing them into their private dimension. They stop only at their borders, never crossing into another empire's space. They don't trade. They don't answer random transmissions. They don't engage at all. They simply exist alongside everyone else, untouchable and unreachable. But that ends today. I am Thrax, merchant of the sorinoi Imperium. I've been watching the humans for years, searching for a weakness. I believe I've found one. After weeks of travel across known space, I've arrived at the place where it all began in 4, or as humans call it, New Hawaii. It's now a bustling tourist world as usual. They ignored my small frigate as I slipped into their system. I weaved through traffic, careful not to touch them, even though they couldn't touch me. After some time, I found what I was looking for: an old, seemingly abandoned docking bay. I slid my ship inside and prayed, on every human frequency. Using every signal we've ever detected, I broadcast my message: one final gamble. I took a deep breath, started the recording and said, "Hello, humans," I began nervously. "I know your introduction to the galaxy wasn't well friendly. Yeah, I guess that's putting it lightly. Still, I'd like to be the first member of the galactic community to offer you a hand in friendship, or at least in trade. My name is Thrax, merchant of the sorinoi Imperium. I mean no harm. If I don't hear back within an hour, I'll leave quietly. If I'm parked somewhere I shouldn't be, I apologize for the inconvenience. Thank you, and have a nice day." The moment my broadcast ended, every ship in sight turned to face mine. Unauthorized scan, unauthorized scan. My ship's AI blared in my ear as dozens of human warships swept over my vessel with their sensors. My stomach dropped. Oh no, I sounded ridiculous. Why didn't I prepare a proper speech? I buried my face in my hands. Docking clamps engaged. Pressurization complete. My AI interrupted sharply. "What?" I snapped, rushing to my console. Somehow, I had been pulled out of my phase dimension and into theirs, already locked into one of their stations. Before I could react, a polite knock came from my airlock. "Hello, anybody home?" a voice called. "Coming, hold on," I shouted back, scrambling from my seat. I hurried to the door, equalized the pressure, and swung it open. 3 humans stood there, one tall, broad-shouldered and dark-skinned, flanked by 2 in armor. Behind them I caught glimpses of curious eyes peeking from the corridor. "Oh, hello," I managed. My voice trembled, but I tried to smile. A blue space elf, the tall one muttered. Son of a, the armored human on the left started, but stopped and begrudgingly handed something to the other, like he'd lost a bet. Never mind that, I said quickly. Welcome to my shop. Let me show you what I've brought. I stepped aside, and they entered, their heavy boots thudding against the deck as I led them toward the cargo hold. So, what kind of stuff do you have? One asked. Oh, nothing too fancy. I wasn't sure what would interest you, so I brought local crafts, musical instruments, some souvenir-type things. No food, I don't know your diet. No weapons, no tech, nothing sensitive. Just touristy goods, I explained as we reached the cargo bay. Inside, the lights flickered on, revealing shelves and crates. One human let out a low whistle and broke formation, drawn toward a strange-looking instrument. Looks like a fancy version of a harpsichord, he said, pressing a key with care. That's called a sorinoi, I said, walking over. We use it for performances and special events. Let me open it properly. I flipped covers and adjusted gears, the instrument unfolding into an elaborate blend of accordion, piano, and harp. Looks like a mix of all three, the tall human observed casually. Excuse me, the muse is restless, the tall human suddenly said, stepping up to the sorinoi. He pressed a few random keys at first, producing an awful jumble of sounds. Then, slowly, he started shaping it into something resembling a melody. I kept my face neutral, salesman-like, but inside, his clumsy playing was grating on me. All right then, ladies and gentlemen, Bohemian Rhapsody, he announced dramatically, still standing. What followed was the strangest yet most entertaining performance I'd ever witnessed. Odd pauses, strange riffs, and unusual notes mixed together, but somehow he was improving quickly. By the end, he was almost playing flawlessly. He clearly had experience with similar instruments when he finished. The two armored guards and several curious onlookers who had wandered in gave him enthusiastic applause. That sound is crisp, he said, smiling proudly. Haven't heard a tone that clean since my theater days. She's tricky, though takes some getting used to. I need this thing. What do you want for it? I smiled in surprise. I'm not sure. Maybe some of your instruments in trade, or gold bullion. Gold still works as a trade medium. They didn't seem put off by my nervousness. One of them began poking around my stock. No guitar. Want one? What's a guitar? I asked curiously. This, he said, lifting a wooden instrument he'd been carrying. He strummed a few notes, and the sound instantly caught my attention. Oh, that tone. The Cass and I would love something like that. Would it be possible to trade 2 or 3 of those for the sorinoi? I asked politely. Yeah, sure, he replied. We've got a music shop on the dock. You can try some out. I have a better idea, the tall, dark-skinned one said. Welcome to the new Hawaii Tourist Center. Follow me, and I'll help you set up a merchant's license. Then we can make a proper trade deal. My face lit up. Yes, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Fantastic, he said, motioning everyone away from my ship. The wandering humans filed out and the guards took positions at my airlock while I followed him toward something called the trade office. On the way, I asked, may I ask something? Sure, what's up? He replied. After everything that's happened between humanity and the galaxy, why are you being so friendly? He shrugged casually. You asked politely. That's it. Up until now, we've had nothing but angry words, chest-thumping speeches, and warlords using our space to prove a point. We've always been open to trade and friendship, hell, even sharing tech. All we ever wanted was to not be alone out here. But instead we got a galaxy full of empire-hungry opportunists, he said, his tone edged with irritation. So, to break through all that hostility, all I had to do was be polite. I asked, genuinely baffled. Yup, please and thank you will get you surprisingly far with humans. Make a note of that, he added with a playful wink. We stopped in front of a large building. Here we are, the Commerce Guild's trade office. This won't take long. I've already arranged for your ship to be secured from curious eyes. While you're here, we can also show you some of our more interesting merchandise, and I'll have some bullion ready just in case. Thank you, I said, grinning. I'm looking forward to it. With that, I stepped inside.